Major Emma Richards knew something was wrong the moment she stepped into her lab at the quantum physics research facility. The air felt different charge, with an inexplicable energy that made the hair on the back of her neck stand up. Her instruments showed nothing unusual, but 15 years of working with quantum fields had taught her to trust her instincts. She moved through the facility's sterile white corridors, past the humming quantum containment chambers, and through the security checkpoints. Everything appeared normal, yet that sensation of being watched persisted. As she approached her private office, she caught a glimpse of movement in her peripheral vision, a slight distortion in the air like heat waves rising from hot asphalt. Emma froze. She'd seen similar distortions before, but her colleagues had dismissed them as equipment interference or stress-induced hallucinations. This time was different. The distortion had form, purpose, and most importantly, consciousness. "I can see you," she said, quietly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You're not as invisible as you think." The air shimmered, and for a moment nothing happened. Then, like watercolors bleeding through paper, a figure materialized before her. It was tall, with silver-tinted skin that seemed to absorb and reflect light in impossible ways. Its eyes were dark pools that held ancient wisdom, and its form was both elegant and alien. Impossible. The being spoke, its voice resonating in her mind rather than her ears. "Our quantum displacement field is perfect. No human should be able to perceive us." Emma's scientific mind raced with possibilities. "Quantum displacement. Your phase shifting your matter into a different dimensional state." The being's head tilted slightly, a gesture so human it was almost comical. "You understand the principles. Perhaps this explains your ability." "I am observer Lyra of the stellar oversight of what?" Emma asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. "Your species, Major Richards. We have been watching humanity for centuries, studying your development, ensuring you don't destroy yourselves before you're ready for the greater galaxy." Emma felt a mixture of anger and fascination. "And who decided you had that right?" "The same beings who decided your species needed protection from those who would exploit your potential," Lyra responded. "But your ability to see us, this changes everything. It should not be possible." A door slammed somewhere in the facility, and Em realized they were still standing in the corridor. "My office," she said, gesturing to the door. "We should continue this conversation in private." Lyra followed her inside, moving with an ethereal grace that defied physics. As Emma closed the door, she noticed more shimming forms materializing around her office. 3 more stellar observers, revealing themselves. "Your quantum sensitivity is extraordinary," one of them observed, "but you are not the only one. There are others like you emerging across your planet." "This was not part of our calculations." Emma sat at her desk, her mind working through the implications. "Evolution," she said. "Human consciousness is adapting to perceive quantum states. We shouldn't be able to see. We're evolving to see through your invisibility." The observers exchanged looks that seemed to carry entire conversations. Finally, Lyra spoke again. "Then we face a choice: continue our mission in secret, knowing we can be detected, or acknowledge that humanity is ready for more than just observation." Emma finished. She leaned forward, her eyes bright with determination. "You've been watching us for centuries. Maybe it's time we started talking instead." A tense silence filled the room. Emma could feel the weight of centuries of protocol and tradition pressing against her. Simple suggestion. But she could also sense something else: hope, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of relief from these beings who had watched from the shadows for so long. "The committee will not approve," one of the other observers stated. "The committee didn't predict this either," Lyra countered. She turned to Emma, her form shifting slightly as she moved. "You understand that by having this conversation we have already violated our most sacred protocols?" Emma nodded. "And you understand that by keeping this secret you violated humanity's right to self-determination?" "Your directness is refreshing," Lyra admitted, "but also dangerous. There are fact among both our peoples who would view this interaction with hostility." "Then we start small," Emma suggested. "Work together to understand why some humans can see you. Use that knowledge to build a bridge between our species." The observers conferred silently, again their forms shifting and blending together in ways that made Emma's eyes hurt when they separated. Lyra remained, while the others faded back into invisibility. "I will stay," Lyra announced. "As a liaison, the others will report our conversation. Changes are coming. Major Richard's ready or not." Emma stood, offering her hand in a very human gesture of agreement. "Call me Emma, and I think we've both known changes were coming since the moment I saw you in that hallway." Lyra's hand, when it clasped hers, felt like touching silk-wrapped steel. "Indeed, Emma. Shall we begin?" 3 days after her initial encounter with the Stellary, Emma found herself standing in what appeared to be an empty warehouse on the outskirts of the city, but she knew better now. Her enhanced perception revealed the truth: a massive structure of impossible architecture hidden within the quantum field, a building that existed in multiple dimensional states. "At once, welcome to our embassy," Lyra said, materializing beside her. "For centuries, it has stood here invisible to human eyes. You are the first of your kind. See it in its true form." The interior was breathtaking. Crystalline structures spiraled upward into infinity, their surfaces reflecting light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Dozens of Stellary moved through the space, their silver forms flowing like mercury through the air. Some noticed her presence and paused, their dark eyes studying her with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Your people are afraid," Emma observed, nodding. "Their reactions, not of me specifically, but of what I represent." Lyra's form shifted, a gesture Emma had learned indicated agreement. "Change is difficult for those who have maintained the same protocol calls for millennia. But there is something you need to see." They moved deeper into the embassy, passing through chambers that defied Euclidean geometry. Emma's scientific mind struggled to process what she was seeing. Spaces that were simultaneously vast and microscopic, corridors that looped back on themselves in impossible ways. "This is our monitoring center," Lyra explained as they entered a vast circular room. The walls were covered in what looked like floating screens, each showing different locations around the globe. "We track quantum anomalies, including those humans who have developed the ability to perceive our presence." Emma stepped closer to one of the screens, her breath catching as she recognized the patterns displayed. "These are brainwave patterns, but they're overlaid with quantum field measurements." "Correct. We've detected a significant increase in humans exhibiting quantum-sensitive consciousness. The number has doubled in the past year alone." Lyra moved to a central console, bringing up a global map dotted with points of light. "Each light represents someone like you, Emma. Someone who can see through our quantum displacement." "How many currently?" 327 individuals worldwide. A year ago, it was 162. The rate of increase is accelerating. Emma studied the map, her mind racing with implications. "This isn't random evolution, is it? There's a pattern here." Very observant, Lyra acknowledged. "The emergence of quant-sensitive humans correlates with increased exposure to our quantum fields. In simple terms, humanity is adapting to our presence. Your consciousness is evolving in response to ours, like an immune system responding to a foreign presence." Amused, "But instead of fighting it, we're developing the ability to perceive it." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of another Stellary, this one moving with an urgency that set Emma on edge. The newcomer's form was more rigid, less fluid than Lyra's, and their communication was sharp and focused. "The committee has reached a decision," the new arrival announced. "They are implementing Protocol Omega." Lyra's form became absolutely still, a reaction Emma had never seen before. "They cannot. It's too soon." "What's Protocol Omega?" Emma asked, though the tension in the room told her she wouldn't like the answer. "A complete withdrawal," Lyra explained, her mental voice tight with concern. "The committee has ordered all Stellary to leave Earth immediately. They believe the risk of full exposure is too great." "But you can't just leave," Emma protested. "There are hundreds of people like me now becoming aware of your existence. You can't abandon us without explanation." "The committee believes a clean break is the only way to preserve the original mission parameters," the new Stellary stated. Emma stepped forward, her Voice firm, your original mission was to protect humanity, wasn't it, to guide us? And until we were ready for the greater galaxy, well, we're showing you we're ready, not through technology or warfare, but through adaptation and understanding. We're literally evolving to bridge the gap between our species. The two stellari exchanged what seemed to be a long, silent communication. Finally, Lyra turned back to Emma. There might be a way, but it would require breaking nearly every protocol. We have. The committee has ordered withdrawal, but they haven't specified how quickly it must be completed. Your suggesting we delay the other stellari realized by time to establish contact with other quantum sensitives, not just contact, Emma added, catching on to Lyra's plan. We need to establish a framework for cooperation, prove that humans and stellari can work together openly, make the committee's decision irrelevant by showing them a better alternative. It would be dangerous. Ulra warned. For all of us, the committee does not respond well to defiance. Emma smiled grimly. Neither do humans when we're abandoned. I'd rather take the risk than watch you disappear and leave hundreds of people questioning their sanity. The other stellari form rippled with what might have been resignation. I will help. The old protocols were not designed for this situation. Perhaps it is time for new ones. Then we need to move quickly, Emma said, turning back to the global map. How soon can you contact the other quantum sensitives? Within hours, Lyra replied, but convincing them to help us, to trust us. After centuries of secrecy, it will be more challenging. Leave that to me, Emma assured her. If there's one thing humans are good at, it's adapting to impossibles situations. We just need to give them a chance. As they began their work, Emma couldn't help but feel they were standing on the precipice of something momentous. The question wasn't whether humanity was ready for the truth anymore. It was whether the stellari were ready for humanity. The next 48 hours pass in a blur of activity. Emma had never seen the stellar embassy so energized or so chaotic. The normally pristine quantum corridors buzzed with urgent communications as Lyra's small group of sympathetic observers worked to contact other quantum sensitives around the globe, but their efforts hadn't gone unnoticed. We have a problem, announced Karan Patel, a quantum sensitive physicist from Mumbai who had arrived hours earlier. He stood before one of the embassy's monitoring screens, his expression grim. The committee isn't just ordering a withdrawal, they're attempting to erase all evidence of their presence. Emma watched in horror as the screen showed stellar quantum signatures disappearing worldwide. They're not just leaving, they're destroying their observation posts. Worse, Lyra added, her form flickering with distress. They implementing quantum field scrubbers. The technology will eliminate all traces of our quantum resonance signatures, including the chain is those signatures have caused in human consciousness. They're trying to reset us. Emma realized, make us forget we could ever see them. The process could be dangerous. Another stellar observer who had introduced himself as Vex warned. Human quantum sensitivity is still evolving. Attempting to suppress it could have unforeseen consequences. As if to prove his point, the embassy sensors suddenly lit up with alerts around the globe. Quantum sensitive humans were reporting severe headaches, disorientation, and in some cases complete neural shutdown. They're killing us, Kiran said quietly, maybe not intentionally, but that's what's happening. Emma turned to Lyra. How do we stop this? The only way to prevent neural damage would be to stabilize the quantum field resonance, Lyra explained, but to do that we would need to fully materialize our embassy and all remaining observation posts. Vex finished, make everything visible permanently. The implications hung heavy in the air. Such an action would violate the most fundamental stellari protocol. Complete invisibility. It would expose their presence to the entire world, not just the quantum sensitives. How long do we have before the neural damage becomes permanent? Emma asked. Hours at most, Kiran replied, rubbing his temples. I can feel the pressure building already. Emma straightened. Decision made. We don't have a choice. We need to force their hand. The committee will view this as an act of rebellion, Lyra warned. Better Rebellion than genocide, Emma countered. You came here to protect humanity, prove it. Lyra's form shimmered with resolution. We'll need to access the embassy's quantum core. It controls the phase shift matrices for all our installations in this sector. They moved quickly through the embassy's twisting corridors, now crowded with both humans and stellari. More quantum sensitives had arrived, drawn by the crisis and the growing pain. In their minds, the mixing of species would have been remarkable under other circumstances, humans and aliens working side by side, their differences forgotten. In the face of emergency, a quantum core sat at the heart of the embassy, a swirling vortex of energy contained within crystalline walls. Emma's enhanced perception could barely process what she was seeing. Patterns of reality folding and unfolding in endless iterations. The committee has locked us out of the main controls, Vex announced, his hands moving through holographic interfaces. They anticipated resistance. Can we override it, Curran asked, then winced as another wave of pain hit him. Not without the authorization codes, Lyra said, but there might be another way. She turned to Emma. Your quantum sensitivity, it's different from the others, more developed. If we could link your consciousness directly to the core, you want to use me as a bridge. Emma realized between human and stellary quantum states it's never been attempted. Vex cautioned the neural load could be catastrophic. Emma looked around the room at the suffering humans and worried. Stellar time was running out. What do I need to do? Lyra guided her to a crystalline platform near the core. Focus your consciousness on the quantum frequencies you use to see us. Will attempt to amplify that frequency through the core, using it to override the phase shift protocols. Emma stepped onto the platform, feeling the energy of the quantum core washing over her. The sensation was overwhelming, like being simultaneously everywhere and nowhere, existing in all possible states at once. Ready? Lyra asked. Emma nodded, unable to speak as she concentrated on maintaining her connection to both reality states. She could feel Lyra and Vex working around her, their forms blurring as they manipulated the quantum fields. The pain hit her first, white hot agony, as her mind tried to process quantum states it was never designed to handle. But beneath the pain she could feel something else, a resonance building between her consciousness and the core, growing stronger with each passing second. It's working, she heard someone say, though she couldn't tell if the voice was human or stellar anymore. The quantum fields are stabilizing. Emma pushed harder, letting her consciousness expand into the quantum frequencies. She could feel every observation post, every hidden stellar installation around the world, and one by one she felt them shift, their quantum states aligning with normal space-time. The stellari were becoming visible to everyone. The last thing Emma heard before consciousness fled was Lyra's voice in her mind. The choice has been made now. We all face what comes next. Emma awoke to the steady beep of medical monitors and the strange sensation of existing firmly in one dimension. The quantum resonance that had become so familiar was now just a whisper at the edges of her consciousness. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in the embassy's medical bay, though it looked different now, solid and real in a way it hadn't before. Welcome back, Curran said from nearby. He sat with a tablet in his hands, scrolling through data streams. You've been unconscious for 26 hours. The quantum field stabilization, Emma started. Successful. Lyra's voice came from the doorway. The stellar observer moved into the room, her silver form no longer shifting between states, but fully visible, though perhaps not in the way we expected. Emma pushed herself up, nodding the weakness in her limbs. What happened? Something remarkable, Curran answered, turning his tablet so she could see. When you connected with the quantum cord, you didn't just force our installations into normal space-time. You created a new kind of quantum resonance, a bridge between human and stellar consciousness. The Tate showed brain scans, hundreds of them, all displaying the same unusual pattern of neural activity. These are from the quantum sensitives. Yes, Lyra confirmed, and from every human who has come into contact with our now visible installations. The ability to perceive quantum states is spreading, but in a controlled, stable way. Your connection to the core somehow created a template for human consciousness to safely process quantum information. The committee must be thrilled, Emma said dryly. Actually, they're fascinated. A new voice joined the conversation. A stellary Emma hadn't seen before entered the room. Their form more elaborate than any she'd encountered. I am first observer Nexus, head of the committee's scientific division. Emma tried to sit up straighter, but Curran placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Easy, you're still recovering. Your actions forced us to reevaluate several long-held assumptions. Nexus continued. We believed human consciousness was too rigid, too fixed in single-state perception to handle quantum awareness. We were wrong. The data we've gathered in the past 26 hours has been extraordinary. Curran added, human brains aren't just adapting to quantum perception, they're evolving new neural pathways specifically designed for it. It's like our minds were always meant to make this leap. We just needed the right catalyst, which is why I'm here. Nexus said the committee has authorized a new initiative instead of withdraw. We're proposing full integration, a joint human stellary research program to understand and guide this evolutionary jump. Emma looked at Lyra, who nodded slightly. The committee believes that what happened here wasn't just an accident. Human consciousness has been gradually building toward this capability for centuries. Our presence may have accelerated it, but the potential was always there. We've been studying a species that was studying us right back. Nexus added, even if neither side fully eyes did. Curran pulled up new data on his tablet, a complex diagram showing the interplay between human neural patterns and stellary quantum fields. Look at this resonance pattern. It's not just humans adapting to perceive quantum states. The quantum fields themselves are adapting to be more perceivable to human consciousness. It's a two-way evolution. The question now, Lyra said, is where this evolution leads. The bridge you created, Emma. It's more than just a way for humans to see us. It's a genuine merger of two different ways of perceiving reality. Emma studied the data, her scientific mind racing despite her fatigue. You're saying human consciousness is naturally quantum capable, and your presence just woke up that capability. More than that, Nexus explained. We believe human consciousness may be capable of quantum operations. Our own species never achieved your ability to create that stable bridge between states. None of our scientists have managed to replicate it. There's something unique about how human minds process quantum information, which is why we need your help. Lyra added, all of you, the quantum sensitives, the scientists, everyone who's been affected by this change. We need to understand what's happening and how to guide it safely. Emma looked around the room at Curran with his tablets of revolutionary data, at Lyra, who had risked everything to prevent a disaster, at Nexus, who represented the very committee that had once ordered their complete withdrawal. The boundary between human and stellary, between observer and observed, were blurring in ways no one had predicted. When do we start? She asked. We already have, Nexus replied. Every human who can now see us, every new quantum resonance pattern we detect, it's all part of something bigger than either of our species anticipated. The real question is, are you ready to help us understand what that means? Emma thought about the moment she first saw Lyra in the corridor, how impossible it had seemed then. Now impossibility itself was being redefined. I think, she said carefully, that both our species have been ready for this for a very long time. We just needed to see each other clearly. First, the monitors beside her bed showed her own brain patterns, quantum resonances dancing through normal neural activity like stars through the night sky. Whatever came next, there would be no going back to the old way of seeing things. The universe had become a much larger, much stranger, and much more interesting place. 6 months after the quantum convergence, Emma stood at a podium before an unprecedented gathering. The newly constructed Quantum Interface Center stretched out before her, its architecture a seamless blend of human and stellar design. The auditorium was filled with both species, silver-skinned stellar observers seated alongside human scientists, diplomats, and quantum sensitives from around the world. When I first saw a shimmer in the air of my laboratory, Emma began. I couldn't have imagined where that moment would lead. Today, over 10,000 humans have developed stable quantum perception. Our understanding of consciousness, reality, and our place in the universe has fundamentally changed. She gestured to the massive display behind her, showing real-time data from the global quantum resonance network. Points of light marked every location where human consciousness had evolved to interface with quantum states. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery isn't how humans have changed, she continued, it's how we change each other. Lyra stepped forward to join her at the podium, their presence together a powerful symbol of the new partnership. The Stellari believed our role was to watch, to guide from the shadows. Lyra addressed the audience. We thought ourselves more advanced, more evolved. We were wrong in trying to protect humanity. We nearly missed witnessing one of the most significant evolutionary leaps in conscious development. Curran, now head of the Human Quantum Research Division, activated a new display. It showed the intricate dance of quantum fields around Earth, visible to everyone present. The resonance patterns we're detecting aren't just growing stronger, he explained, they're becoming more complex, more interconnected. Human consciousness isn't just adapting to perceive quantum states, it's learning to manipulate them. Last week, Emma announced a team of human quantum sensitives successfully generated their own quantum displacement field, not by using our technology, but through direct conscious manipulation of quantum states. A murmur ran through the audience. Even after 6 months of integration, such capabilities had been thought impossible for humans to achieve without technological assistance. First observer Nexus rose from their seat. The committee has reviewed the data from these achievements. We no longer see ourselves as humanity's observers or protectors. We recognize you as equals, perhaps even as teachers in some aspects of quantum manipulation. But that's not why we're here today, Emma continued. We've gathered because we've detected something new, something that neither of our species could have anticipated. The display shifted again, showing a pattern of quantum resonance that pulsed with unprecedented complexity. This signal, Lyra explained, originated from deep space. It bears similarities to both human and stellary quantum signatures, but it's far more advanced than either. We are not alone in this evolution, Emma said. The quantum consciousness we awaken together, it's part of something larger. Other species, other civilizations have taken this path before us, and now they're reaching out. The signal pulsed again, stronger this time. Everyone in the room could feel it, a resonance that touched both normal and quantum states of awareness, carrying with it an unmistakable message. Welcome. The Stellari came to Earth believing they needed to protect us, Emma said. Instead, they helped catalyze our next evolutionary step. But evolution doesn't stop here. Together, we've opened a door to something far greater than either of our species imagined. She looked out over the audience, seeing not two separate species now, but the beginning of something new. The question before us isn't whether we're ready for the larger galaxy anymore. The question is the galaxy ready for what we're becoming? Together, Lyra's form shimmered with what Emma had learned to recognize as excitement. The old protocols no longer apply. We face this new chapter as equals, as partners, as pioneers in an evolution of consciousness itself. The quantum signal pulsed once more, stronger than ever. In that moment, every being in the room, human and stellari alike, could feel the truth of it. They were no longer merely observers, and observed no longer separated by quantum states or dimensional barriers. They were witnesses to and participants in a transformation that would reshape their understanding of existence itself. As Emma looked at the faces before her, silver stellari forms and human features alike filled with wonder and anticipation, she remembered that first glimpse of movement in her lap, what had seemed like an ending, the exposure of a centuries-old secret, had really been a beginning. The true unseen moment hadn't been the stellari presence on Earth, it had been humanity's potential waiting to be awakened. And now, with that new signal beckoning from the stars, an even greater unseen moment awaited. Together, they would step into it, visible at last. whatever wonders the universe held in store.